Hello, pumpkins! I have missed you so much. I've been working hard and I'm moving, so I have not been creating the videos that I've been wanting to create. If you're new to my channel, welcome! This is a place where we discuss all things chaos magic, occult, neo-paganism, tarot, and anything else really that tickles my fancy in the moment. So if you are interested in tarot and neo-paganism and magic, please do subscribe. There's going to be a ton of cool stuff coming on this channel. I have so many plans and I'm so excited. Now, a few caveats before I get started. Now, because I'm discussing Jill Duggar Dillard, I can't talk about Jill without talking about the things that she has endured, both physically at the hands of her brother and psychologically and spiritually at the hands of Jim Bob, her father, and of the Institute for Basic Life Principles, Bill Gothard's ministry, and some of the doctrine and theology that she has been taught since birth. I need to be clear, and anytime I talk about religion, I always have to bring this up. I am not against Christianity. I am not dunking on Christians. I am against toxic theology, and I believe that some of the beliefs that Bill Gothard's ministry has imposed on his community, including Jim Bob, have some really toxic beliefs. So I will be talking about that to some extent, but please understand that this isn't me, crapping on Christians. If you are Christian, you're welcome here. If you are an atheist, you're welcome here. I intend for this to be a safe place for people to have important discussions. In saying that, let's get to it. Now, funny story. I knew I was going to be recording this video today. I did a poll on my website of what you wanted to see a video on, and a tarot reading on Jill Duggar Dillard came in first place. I had a dream last night about the Dillards. I had a dream that they were living on this big farmhouse and there was lots of land and they had a festival where people were setting up and camping. Now in my dream it was a pagan festival, which obviously the Dillards are not going to be throwing, but in this dream, Samuel, their youngest, soon-to-be middle child, had this invention, and it was an invention about this type of water squirter thing. And now that's not to say that they're actually going to live in or that Samuel is going to invent a water dispenser, but I think that if we were to interpret the symbolism, that they're going to have a great deal of freedom, and that Samuel is going to break traditions and think of new ways to doing things in ways that are emotional, because water is about emotions and about caring for others. So I do think that when Samuel grows up, he has a lot of potential to do things differently emotionally. I'm not going to do a full reading on any of the younger kids, but I just thought that my dream was interesting last night, so I thought I would include that. The deck I'm using today is the Gilded Tarot by Cira Marchetti. This is actually one of my favorite decks. I've been using it for years. It's my third copy, and I think I'm ready for a fourth. This is so worn out. I'm going to do a Celtic Cross spread, which is a 10-card spread. If you'd like to book a reading for yourself, you can do so at my website, carolyneironwill.com. I'll leave the link below. We start with the Significator card. This is the card representing Jill. Then we have the Crossroads card, which is the card that mucks everything up. The Foundation card, the root of the situation. Past. Present, future, how Jill sees herself, how others see Jill, hopes and fears, and outcome. That doesn't surprise me, nor does that, or that. That's right on cue. Okay, I like this a lot for Jill. First thing I do when I read a tarot spread is I look at the number of reverse to upright cards. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reverse cards. That's exactly average. Then I look at the number of majors to minors. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4 majors. After that, I look at the dominant suits. We have 1, 2, 3 swords, 2 cups, and 1 wand. swords are the dominant suit here. When I see swords, swords are about thought. Swords are about conflict. Swords are about paradigms, thinking patterns, words. Swords can also be about medical stuff, i.e. surgeries. This totally is in line with what is going on with Jill. We have the Five of Wands reversed. So the Five of Wands is often about the social dance that we have. We, in our group of friends, in our family, in our workplace, we all have different roles that we play. And the Five of Wands reversed is about coming up with your own way of being, not being pressured to fit into the family role, not being pressured to be who you're not. Obviously, this goes in line with who Jill is and her dynamic with the family, as she has spoken out about many of the things that are not healthy within her family. Seven of Swords reversed. So this is the crossroads. This is the thing that mucks everything up. And we have the Seven of Swords reversed. Seven of Swords upright, I often see about someone being sneaky. Someone who's getting away with something. Someone who does something behind the scenes that is wrong. Jill shone a light on some very dark things happening within her family, causing her to break the family dynamic. Within the culture of her family and the culture of her beliefs, she has not said she was sorry. She has not done what she was told. Whereas Josh confessed and apologized, and whether that confession was sincere or not, that's the grounds for forgiveness within her family and within her religion. Growth and change are not permitted. The root of the issue. This is a dynamic that we don't hear a lot about with the Duggars. We often hear about Jim Bob being the boss, Jim Bob dictating everything. When I see the Queen of Cups reversed, this is coming up as mom, and how the root of what's going on with Jill and her pain has a lot more to do with her mom not having her back than about Jim Bob's control over things. She wants her mother's love, she wants her mother's acceptance, and Michelle does love Jill. I'm sure she loves all of her kids, but she didn't get that kind place to land that a mother is supposed to be. And I can feel this sense of abandonment, the sense of the why weren't you there for me? And you can't see my face right now because I'm filming the cards, but I can feel myself almost start to cry. I really feel that there's a why weren't you there for me? Why did you turn on me? Why was that person more important than me? So Jill's relationship with her mom, that's the root of a lot of what's going on with Jill. It's not as much to do with her relationship with Jim Bob as it is to do with her relationship with Michelle. Past, the Four of Swords reversed. I am going to pull a clarifier on that one. Typically I see this card as being about meditation, because four is about stability and ritual, and swords are about thought, so having a ritual and thought is typically meditation. And here we have a ritual about ritual about action, which often comes across as marriage. I think in this it comes across as being about doctrine and why she believes what she believes, and so meditating on what is right and what is wrong, and why is it right and why is it wrong, and looking at how harmful some things are that she's been told have been right, and how some things that she's been told that are wrong are why. So this is a meditating on these rituals that have always been done. The Empress. I love this card coming up here. The Empress is the mom card, and of course Jill is a mom. She has two little boys, and she's expecting her third child, who recently has been released that she's having a boy. So is really reminding her of how much she loved midwifery. She has been present at many births, and she has had some midwife training. Now, Jill doesn't have the full midwife certificate, so there's various levels of training that she has to go through. I believe there's 3, and she completed 2. She's the only girl in her family who had some sort of certification. So the fact that she went through to get the 2nd level of certification to become a midwife is pretty spectacular, considering she's really not allowed to have a career in her culture. But I think that she is going to realize her passion for midwifery and her passion for neonatal care and prenatal care. So I think we could see Jill especially with when I have so many swords going on here, I think we could see Jill return to her training as a midwife and start to pursue a career. Now, with having this little ones take priority, of course, and she is putting her kids in private school. But yeah, she's going to have the next 4 or 5 years where she is, she's with the baby. And I don't think this is her last child either. Now, I don't think she's going to have 19 or 20 kids. Derek has one sibling, so he grew up with 2 kids, and of course, Jill has 18 biological siblings and 1 adopted sibling, so there actually are 20 Duggar kids because they adopted Tyler. I think that she's going to have a girl after this, and then she's going to stop. So we're looking at probably 4 kids or possibly 5, which 4 or 5 kids is still a very large family in terms of the rest of Western society. Typically, the average family is about 2 kids, and that number keeps decreasing, but we have the Quiverful movement who has lots of kids. So yeah, I think that Jill's looking at having 4, possibly 5, and is going to stop when she has a daughter. And having that daughter it's going to change how she sees her relationship with her mother, because there is that ongoing mother-daughter relationship and how those ties have been toxic for many years. And so I think that Jill is going to be looking at breaking that cycle and having a better relationship with her daughter than she had with her own mother. I think Jill is looking at having some difficulties when it comes to birthing this current child in terms of, because I'm having so many swords come up here, so swords can mean medical, so that could be like gestational diabetes, of having to take like a needle every day, or it could be like vitamin supplements that she needs every day. So some sort of like needle or cutting. So she could be looking at a cesarean or an episiotomy, something like that, where she does need some medical interventions with her pregnancy, and I think that that's going to be incredibly scary for her after losing River Bliss. Future Jill, yeah, I do think that she is going to, after all of her kids are in school, or even as they get a bit older, of looking at going back to school. It could be for the midwifery. I think that we also could be looking at Jill wanting to do some sort of nursing training. Now, I know her sister-in-law Abby is a nurse, and then there's a part of Jill that really admires Abby for being able to work, and I don't think that she's going to actually go back to school for nursing because of her lack of education. She was homeschooled and has a GED, and the Duggars and many homeschooled kids within the IBLP talk about their lack of knowledge within academia and how that holds them back. Now, there are some homeschooling programs that are excellent. I'm not trying to dunk on homeschoolers, but I don't think that Michelle Duggar was necessarily able to provide the kids the education that they needed in terms of math and science and biology. And of course, we know that within their religion and culture that they don't necessarily teach a lot of sex ed, which is important for childbirth and for working in obstetrics and prenatal care. So I think that Jill wants to go back to school to be a prenatal nurse of some sort and work in either with home births or within like a neonatal unit. But what's stopping her is she would need to go back to high school, or she would need to take high school level courses to get her math and her science back up. And I think that she just finds that too overwhelming. She's never really had to sit in a classroom with strangers. She's always had that homeschool environment or the apprenticeship environment. So being in a classroom is going to be really overwhelming for her. And I think looking at the sun reversed here and some other cards, that's going to cause her a lot of anxiety. She's going to feel really dumb. Now, she's not dumb. She just didn't have the educational opportunities that she needed, which is sad. But I do think that she will end up continuing her midwifery training and get that 3rd level of certification so that she can practice. I don't think it's going to be right now with a newborn of going back to school. And like I said, I don't think this is going to be Jill and Derek's last child. I do think that they're going to have a daughter at some point. But yeah, her lack of education is going to hold her back, and that's kind of sad. And I think that when she has the daughter, that's going to be a changing point. And now it makes sense for some parents that the mom stays at home, and this isn't me dunking on moms that stay at home at all, especially when there's lots of kids, because childcare is expensive and men have more earning power than women. Derek is a lawyer, so obviously he has more earning power, so it makes sense that mom stays at home with the kids. I do think that she's going to... I know she's having a son right now, a third boy, but when she has her daughter, she's going to tell her daughter, no, you don't have to just be a housewife, you have choices, and if you choose to be a housewife, and if you choose to be a full-time mom, that's okay, but you can also choose to be anything you want. So I do think that her daughter is going to go to college. And her daughter I think that her daughter is still going to pursue something that is stereotypically female role, so something like a nurse or a teacher or something to that extent. So I don't think that she's going to go to school to be a welder, this future daughter that hasn't been conceived, but I do think that she's going to be encouraged that you can do whatever you want and that's okay, because Jill never got that. I think that we're going to see, I'm not going to do individual readings on the younger Duggar girls or on the grandkids, but I think that we are going to see this this idea of the grandkids, the granddaughters and the younger daughters being encouraged by the sisters who are raising them that you can do anything. And so I think that we're going to see some rebellion and some higher education with some of the younger girls. Now, I talked about that a little when I did my reading on Jana, that Jana's raising these little girls and knowing that they don't have any choices in life. And Jana didn't have choices to go to school. Jana didn't have choices to pursue what she wanted, and it's breaking Jana's heart that she is having to tell her younger sisters who she's raising, you can't be anything you want. You can't go to college. So I think that's going to be a real shift that we see with some of the younger daughters and some of the granddaughters of the Duggars. But like I said, I'm not doing individual readings on them. The sun reversed. Things feel really cloudy this is how Jill sees herself. Things feel really cloudy for Jill. She feels like when she was growing up, she had a clear vision of what her future was going to be like. She was going to get married and have kids, and that was it. And things feel very cloudy, and they feel very scary. Now, the last card we have here is the Devil card, which isn't a bad card. It's really about facing your fears. We'll get to that. But things feel uncertain, and that uncertainty is what's causing Jill anxiety and causing Jill depression. Now, I'm not a doctor. I have a degree in psychology, but it's just a bachelor. Things feel very uncertain. Jill can't see the path ahead of her. Jill doesn't see things clearly, and that can be liberating for some people, but terrifying for others. And I think when we look at the next card, which is the Magician is really about having the ability and the skills to do what you want and to do anything. But how do you do anything with your life when you don't know what you want? So I think that's part of what Jill is going through right now in this transition. Is you can see it in Jill that she's starting to break some of the traditions that she was brought up with. And I'm not just talking about pants. The fact that Jill has a tattoo, the fact that Jill enjoys the odd adult beverage, the fact that Jill is contemplating higher education, the fact that Jill does have a trade as a midwife. She has the ability, if she wants, to go back to school, to go to college, to pursue nursing. She has that intellect. She needs a few more credentials and education and skill to do it. But I think what holds her back is feelings of inadequacy, feeling like she's not good enough, feeling like she's not smart enough. So it's her emotions that are holding her back, not her intelligence, and not her ability, like not her her potential. Hopes and fears. King of Cups. I have my issues with Derek and some of his toxic views about LGBT people. I think that Jill and Derek, they're probably always going to cling to their faith in some aspect. I think they are going to have someone who's very close to them, someone who they love, come out of the closet, and they still love them, and they're the only ones who stand by them and the only ones who accept them. I'm not going to speculate. I do have an idea of who that is. It's not someone who has come up within Duggar gossip, and I'm certainly not going to speculate about who's gay and who's not, because someone's coming out journey as their own. But I do think that there's going to be someone who comes out of the closet, and Jill still loves them, and Jill still accepts them. And Jill can even say, like, I don't agree with this, and I know that they believe it's a choice, and they believe it's a lifestyle, quote unquote, but they're going to say, but I love you anyway, and I accept you anyway. And that's going to kind of change how Jill and Derek see some of the LGBTQ stuff. So I think this card is representing Derek, and I also think that there's going to be another man who is in Jill's life as a mentor. This could be a pastor, this could be a professor, a teacher. There's someone else who Jill has a father-daughter relationship with. I don't know, this could be an uncle, but there's somebody who's able to come into Jill's life and kind of take that role of the gentle, kind father. This could even be her relationship with her God or with Jesus. But there's another male influence that's very kind, and I think that when Jill is talking about going back to school, Derek is 100% behind her and 100% supportive, and that is important. The Devil card. So this does not mean a literal devil. This is often about fear, and I think that fear is what holds Jill back. Because she's always questioning, is this quote unquote of the devil? Is this not of God? How do we know that things are of God or of the devil? In the Bible, there is the fruit of the Spirit, which is how we know that things are good or not good. And I will put the fruit of the Spirit on the screen if anyone's interested in what that is. But there's been so many things that Jill has been taught that are evil. And so she is having to deconstruct and reconstruct what it is she does and does not believe. And when she starts to break these, there's this voice in the back of her head that this is evil, this is of the devil. And she's able to put some of that aside, that she knows that, no, there's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with enjoying a martini with her cousin. There's nothing wrong with having a tattoo to commemorate the child that she lost. But I think that fear of sin, there is actually a name for that as a mental illness, an obsessive compulsive disorder, an anxiety disorder called scrupulous OCD. And I will do another video at some point about scrupulosity and scrupulous OCD, because it's this religious fear that I'm bad, and this pressure to be good. And because what happens if you're bad, if you have an unforgiven sin, you burn in hell. And so I think that Jill is breaking some of the brainwashing that she was taught, but there's still that voice of, I'm bad, I'm going to go to hell, I'm sinning, this is wrong, and that's really hard for her to cope with, and I think that is what holds her back. Ultimately, I think that's what's going to hold her back from pursuing nursing and finishing those high school credits that she needs, because she deep down feels like she's wrong, and she hasn't done anything that's that bad, and certainly her brother's done a lot worse than she has, and some of her siblings have done a lot worse than she has, but she's got that sensitivity and that fear and that anxiety going on. Okay, so that is my reading on Jill Duggar. I hope that you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching. This video was a lot of fun to make. If you would like to book a private tarot reading for yourself, you can do so through my website, carolyneironwell.com. The link is below. If you would like a free sample tarot reading during one of my tarot live streams, you can do so by becoming a member. Every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I do a tarot live stream. Sample readings are free for members and by donation for everyone else. Please do consider subscribing to this channel. It would really help with the algorithm. Thank you so much to my top tier members, my ornamental pumpkins, Cheryl, Yasmin, and Sandra. I could not do this without you. I am so grateful for your help. Until next week, may you pray with a good fire. Bye, pumpkins.